Hi guys, Mr. Nolli here. Whew, no more mask. Great. All right, so I have something really exciting to share with you guys. As your project for the lowbrow lesson that I'm teaching you, you're going to be designing a paper toy, one that I custom designed myself for this class specifically. And this paper toy is for a shoe, so you're going to design a graphic around a shoe. It's called the Cool Kicks project. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to construct it because you'll be doing it when I'm probably not there. So the template that you're going to have looks a lot like this, right? You're welcome. And there's only 3 parts. I made it as easy as I could. If you were to search up different paper toy templates for shoes, they're very complicated. This one is modeled after a certain shoe that you might be familiar with. Really easy to design for. I think it'll be a lot of fun for you, and you can also put this on exhibition when it's over. In fact, I am hoping that when this is all over, you guys will have an exhibition that I can come and see, take photographs, and feature on my blog. So let's get started. I'm going to walk you through the entire process. You're going to first apply your design. You're going to cut out the paper toy template, and then you're going to glue the pieces together. Really easy. It does take a little bit of time to do the glue though. You have to let it dry a little bit in between, and I'll go over that with you as we get going. So pay attention. If you have any questions, you can always ask Miss Perez, or you can ask me. All right, guys, so you can use scissors when you're cutting this thing out, but I like X-Acto knives, so I'm gonna use an X-Acto knife. I designed it so that you're able to cut around these glue tabs really easily with a pair of scissors because I wanted to make sure that any students at home on Zoom were able to do this project too. So again, there's only 3 parts to this entire template. You have your right side, your left side, and you have your middle piece. This is going to be the top of the shoe here, this big piece, and then down here, this is actually going to be the tongue, okay? I did input the design specs for the eye holes for the shoelaces, but I didn't put in shoelaces because I wanted it to be open and interpretable to your own design. So you could create your own shoelace pattern if you wanted to, or you could make a plain black pattern that goes across the entire shoe if you wanted to. But I wanted that to be open to you guys to do whatever you like. So I'm going to cut this out. All right, once you have all of your pieces cut out, the next thing you want to do is you want to cut apart these glue tabs on the tongue and middle part of the shoe. Each of these pieces are cut so that this piece is able to bend to capture the curve of the right and left side of the shoe. So we're going to cut these black lines right on the line as best as you can. It's okay if it's not perfect. The next thing you want to do is actually something called scoring. And if you don't feel really confident doing this, maybe have Mrs. Perez, or if I'm there, have me come around and help you with this. But to score something, these dotted lines here that we have on the right and left shoe template in the middle, these gray dotted lines, those are your score lines. Scoring means that you lightly apply pressure with your X-Acto knife or your pair of scissors. So you can take a pair of scissors and right on the edge, just kind of apply some pressure down the side of that. And what it's gonna do is not cut it off, but it's going to allow the paper to bend more freely in that area. If you notice on the side of the shoe templates, the line curves slightly, and that's going to be a curve that shows up in the finished model. So if you score it, it's really easy to make that curve. It's really hard to do that if you're just bending the paper. So I'm going to score my gray lines here by lightly applying pressure, just enough. I'm dragging the blade across the surface. And I'll kind of show you here what that looks like. So as you can see here, these are cut, but they're not bending really well, right? But these guys, look, they just bend right down. See that? And I didn't cut all the way through, so they're not going to fall off. They're just going to stay nice and bent for me. These guys though, still bend them down. I can still try to line that up and fold it by hand, see? Like that. And it's, either way works. You'll just find that whenever if you're doing a lot of these, you get tired. Scoring it helps to make sure that your line is pretty close to perfect, that everything lines up really nicely, and it's a much cleaner looking line when you do that than if you fold it by hand. Okay, so there's that guy. Let me do these other two real quick. All right, so you see the technique here with the scoring. Boom, slight curve. That wasn't completely perfect, but you get my point. Now, the only other thing that I would score on here is I did not put score lines here for this glue tab on this part of the shoe, but what I have found in building this particular model is that it's easier to score this little guy just a little bit than it is to fold it. But again, that's completely up to you if you want to do that. All right, not bad. Now, these guys, these are small enough. I don't really worry about scoring them. I just bend them down. So I'm gonna go through now and I'm going to bend all of my glue tabs so that they're ready for applying glue. And then we're going to apply the glue, and I'll show you what order I do this in that I think is going to be the easiest for you guys. All right, so I've got everything bent. I've got all my glue tabs ready to go. Bring over my Elmer's glue here. I use a glue stick for this project, much easier to work with than the wet glue. I'm gonna take this knife and put my cover on it so that I don't stab anybody. Doop. Put that away. All right, and now we're going to glue this top middle piece of the shoe to the shoe that does not have the glue tab on the end. So I think this is the right side, yeah. I like to start with this side. I find it's just easier to work with. So take your glue stick out, and what I typically do is you want to make sure that you get glue like right on this edge here, this flat edge, because that's where it's really important that it holds. So I just kind of hit those edges up like this. Careful though, of course your shoe will have a design on it. Mine does not for purposes of this demonstration, but you want to make sure that you don't get glue on your design, because part of your grade is on neatness. Okay, that's good. All right. So once I have the glue on this part of the shoe, the middle piece, I'm going to take it and I'm going to line it up with my tongue on the right side here. See? So this was designed so that this tongue lines up nicely with this part, this glue tab. And then you just kind of have to line up the rest of it so that the edge meets the edge of the shoe, right? So you see that? The edge of this dotted line lines right up with the edge of this shoe. Then you apply some pressure. Try not to get any glue on anything. Apply some pressure. And then it should stick. Good. Now you let that set for just a few minutes. I'm using a extra strength glue stick, so it moves pretty fast. But if you're using the lighter glue sticks, like the purple ones that Elmer makes, it will not hold immediately when you go to bend your glue tabs down here. And what will happen is you apply glue down here, your tabs up here are gonna loosen up and they lose their connectivity, they lose their adhesion, and you lose what you're doing. It gets messy for you, you don't want that. So let that set for a few minutes and then you can move on. All right, now that we're back, we're gonna apply some glue onto these tabs here next. So I just kind of slightly bend these tabs outside of the middle part of the shoe, and I'm going to use my glue stick to apply a little bit of glue. I'll put that on top there. A little bit of glue right there on the edge, right there on the edge, and right there. Okay, cap that. Then I'm gonna bend this back up and I'm going to line up my edges as best as I can. Now, you guys are working with a prototype here. I haven't had a lot of time to refine this, so I will tell you it doesn't line up perfectly yet. Eventually it will when I have time to work on this thing, but you can get it pretty close. You can see here how close I was able to get that. The roundness here. See how that matches up? Right on the edge. I'd like that to line up a little bit better, but I haven't had a chance to work out that particular spot right there. But that's okay, because your awesome designs will take away from any imperfections that the model itself has. That's the beauty of design, right? 3D art. Am I right? Yes, Mr. Nolli. I know. All right, so after you get that glued, just keep on adhering a little pressure to it. When you're working with glue sticks, because there's so much tension in this paper, it wants to lift itself away from it, right? And if you keep on giving pressure to it, it helps to create a better contact between the two pieces. And that glue will hold better. The heat from your fingers, the pressure from your fingers is gonna make that hold better. But again, always check to make sure you're not getting any glue on your model, because you don't want it to be messy. Clean your fingers off if you need to. And it should start looking like that, rounding out really nicely. Right? It's looking pretty cool, guys. Looking pretty cool. All right. Next, we're going to glue on this piece to the back. Those two pieces right there are going to go together, just like that. And there's a little line down here that represents the sole of the shoe. And you can use that to help you line up what that's supposed to be. I did do this actually out of order. As I picked up the piece, I realized I normally do this first, but you know, since I'm on camera, people get a little wacky on camera, guys. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't know how you guys do it when you're online. It's no wonder you guys don't talk, right? But yeah, so I normally do the back piece first, but it's okay to do it out of order because it's not difficult to do it out of order. The beauty of this particular design, again, you're welcome. So line up your pieces there, and you can line up those lines around the edge there. Helps to get you lined up right. And then again, apply pressure. So you got the glue on the back side there. All you're doing is applying pressure to both the front and the back. Watch yourself, make sure you don't have glue on your fingers and that you're tapping glue on the front of your design. What the inside looks like really doesn't matter, but it's the outside where your design is. You want to make sure you're protecting that. If this were like a piece that I had printed or something, because you know normally we would do Illustrator graphics or Photoshop graphics on these templates and then print them out and then construct them, then I would actually have like a piece of tissue paper or another piece of paper that's thinner and use that against the graphic so that the oil from my fingers doesn't interact with the print. So just something to be aware of. Like if you colored yours with markers and the markers are washable, the sweat from your fingers could cause that to smear. So you can use just like a piece of scrap paper or something against your piece so that your fingers aren't interacting with it and causing it to smudge. Okay, that looks pretty good. That feels pretty good. So now, you may have guessed, we're going to glue these tabs to the inside edge again on the opposite side, the left side here. So it'll be like that. Do see I got a little bit there. So what I'll do before I actually pat this down is I'll take this scrap piece over here of paper and I'm just gonna clean off my edge there. See that? I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, there's a little bit of residue glue there. Make sure you clean that off. You can see here that it's coming together really nicely, right? You guys can see that. And then in a few minutes, we'll glue this top piece down here, and we'll also glue this tab to the front of the shoe, and that will complete the model's construction. So first I'm gonna line up my front portion here. Again, this being a prototype, I do realize this front piece does not line up as well as I like it to, but that's okay. That's okay for now. Because again, your awesome designs are going to hide my imperfections. See, we make each other stronger, guys. Okay, I'm going to apply pressure. I like to apply pressure most in the front because the tension of the paper really wants to pull these two pieces apart up front. What you'll find is by applying pressure in the front of this particular design, these guys on the side kind of just magically line up. It's kind of cool because they want to arc immediately because of the tension that's being created in the front. All right, and then where they don't line up, like I can kind of see right there, there's a little overhang, and I do know that this model has a bit of an overhang. So I'm gonna try to apply pressure from the inside and the outside. I don't know if you can see this. I'm applying pressure right in that corner. I made them line up, and now I am applying pressure with both my fingers from both sides to try to squeeze that. Yeah, squeeze that. This is actually looking better than all the other prototypes I made. Just so you know, for your class, because I saw so much talent in your class, you guys are very talented. And I wanted to do something for you guys that I felt like would really emphasize your talents. I saw so many interesting pattern makers, character designers, lots of skills and talents that can come alive in a project like this. So, you know, I really did this for you guys, honestly. And I went through 9 prototypes. 9, I made 9 of these things. Started from scratch, and 9 of them to get this to where it's at. As imperfect as it is, the process to create something like this, it's a long one. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into something like this. And, you know, it doesn't look like there's that much work that goes into it, but lots of geometry, lots of trial and error. So here we are. Our finished model. It's looking really good, and it's gonna look so much nicer when you guys add your amazing designs to it. I left this really open so that you guys could add in, again, your own shoelace patterns, your own tongue patterns. You wanna put a label there, you wanna put a label on the back, if you wanna color in the sole. I tried to make this as open to your own interpretations as possible because I really wanted you guys to have fun with this. And when you see these lined up in an exhibition, you're gonna love it. All right, guys. One last look at this guy, huh? I cannot wait to see how you guys decorated this. Can't say it enough. You're all very talented. Whether it's in the arts and graphic design, as a commercial artist, in the underground, in the lowbrow movement specifically, or just anything. I mean, the kind of dedication that I've seen in your class, it's there, you know. Just learn how to get to your seats faster. And that's probably where you need to start. Anyway, guys, I wanna say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to observe your class. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the class culture that you have. And certainly thank you for allowing me to give a lesson to you. And I cannot wait to see what you all produce with this paper toy template. So again, thank you, and good luck.